photos, videos, and travel, what would be the cost? And it was a good $2,000. I was like, oh, okay, let me buy you something nice. Say thank you.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to another episode, Real Talk with Roberts. Right now, we have a very top in her field, a professor of mathematician. She has her own business, 8 years and counting, an author, no other than Dr. Shanah Grant. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing good.
Awesome.
So, Shanah, after that little summary I gave, let's give the people, for the people who don't know you, a little more insight on who you are.
Well, firstly, I forgot to say thank you for having me today. It's certainly a pleasure to be here. Well, yes. So I always start my intro with I am a lover of Christ, because without him, I wouldn't be where I am today. I'm a mom of 2 boys. That keeps me extremely busy. A wife. Also, yes, the professor of math. I teach at 3 different locations.
Yes.
I'm a business owner, so we educate people in mathematics as well as investments or financial literacy. Author, just a whole stuff, a little bit here and there.
Every day.
Yeah.
On that note, because people might see how you handle it and make it look easy. How do you juggle all of this on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah. Okay, so of course, like I mentioned, it has to be a divine, eternal savior who helps me with this.
Yeah.
I remember a friend of mine, we were talking and he was like, I think I was saying, I don't know how I do all of this. And he was like, you have extended capacity. I'm like, what's that? What is that? But in essence, I try to really let God align with what I'm doing. And you'll find that will help it to be a little bit more easy. I have a planner. If it's not in the planner, it won't get done. I set reminders on my phone. Philip is very understanding and he helps out a lot. But yeah, all in all, it boils down to, I always say this, God has angels in different places to help me get by, because sometimes I'm like feeling flustered and somebody just goes, oh, I'll help you with that. I'm like, oh, well, thank you. So yeah.
So just basically keeping it organized helps like a whole bunch.
Yeah, I don't know that I'm as organized as my husband is, but keeping it written down in that planner. Yes, that helps a lot. I'm not a type to ask for help a lot, but I'm what some may say, I'm efficient. So I can do 2 things at once if it can be done that way, if that makes sense. Like if I'm sitting down watching the kids, right? I'm making content or whatever the case may be, so I'm doubling up, tripling up sometimes. But I have a long to-do list for the day, and then that's how I knock things out.
Nice. So you're good at the multitasking, I see.
I don't even think I can multitask, but it's just my brain just kind of is like, while you're doing this, you can be doing this. And so if I'm cooking, I'm listening to my audiobook, I'm like, different things.
So one more question. Read some of your books here, and what drove you to start this? What drove you to start the business? What drove you to start writing?
So to start the business, this is funny because when I graduated with my master's program, 2016, I was looking tirelessly for a job. And Philip was like, why are you looking for a job? Why don't you start your business? I didn't think much of it. I was like, okay, well, let me start this business. But then I went into my PhD program. And so I couldn't really commit as much as I wanted to because I'm in a PhD program. Who's going to be doing a business? But then, at any rate, one of my aunts, she asked me to prep her son for the SAT. And so I was like, what you doing? I'm trying to study for my quals, But at any rate, I was a tutor before, in high school, in college. I was always helping students, excel in math. And so I always take on challenges. And so I took on the challenge to prep him. And I saw that, well, there is a great need, right? Even when I was tutoring, I saw there was a great need for people it doesn't click for everybody like it does for me. Mm-hmm. And so I found great pleasure or great joy in helping people get to that light bulb moment, if you may. And they're like, oh, that's what that's how it makes sense. So that's how I got into, the only thing that I thought I could do at the time is math. Mm-hmm. But then, as I started going, it's like, God, he is a character.
I can tell you that.
Even with the first book, my SAT prep workbook, mm-hmm. I was dragging my feet. And then it was like, we had a prophetess who came to church and she was like, you have many books. I was like, mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I didn't even start writing nothing. I was just like, yeah, whatever. And then she was like, you're all, and I was like, oh yeah. So I was like, pen to paper, pedal to the metal. Next thing you know, I have 6 books now. Oh. So yeah, God sends different people in my path. Like I said, angels, all these different places to mm-hmm. kind of confirm things and give me instructions. Not that they're like bringing up things that I don't know. Like when she said it, I was like, yeah, the manuscript is kind of there. I just need to put it together and, make it work. But when we think about our dynamics, African-American, Black, there's not many books that are pleasable for students to read. And so that was one of my reasons this book is so colorful. It's so appealing for students to be able to skip through. Mm-hmm. And then later on, maybe a year or two ago, I saw another gap that I'm very passionate about money. And so again, our African-American, population.
We have a huge problem with that there.
Yeah, it's like the wealth gap is so wide and we're at the bottom, right? And so it's always been one of my passions. I love to talk about money, talk about making money, help people make money. And so it was kind of like a second nature thing for me to write the toolkit for raising wealthy kids workbook, because I think it's not in schools.
Yes.
That's a big gap. Even in the math, I do K through 12 all the way to college. Nowhere is financial literacy and learning how to, So that's how it all started. And now we're here.
So, because you also said it's a passion and you notice it's not being in schools, but what drive that urge to put it, like have something, I would say, how some people have like traumatic backstories. I was like, oh, I did this because I didn't have this. Mm-hmm. Or was there anything, or it was just in your heart, like, I need to do this?
Well, I am not like, I don't have any traumatic stories. Mm-hmm. My mom and dad are 2 different spectrums, right? My mom on this side, she doesn't have much financial literacy. My dad is the one who has taught me most of what I know. And so if you want to call that a traumatic, I don't know. We moved from like home to home, and she still doesn't own a home, right? It's one of my dreams to get her a home. My daddy owns several homes, you know what I mean? So you see the difference there. Yeah. So for me, I knew what I didn't want and what I wanted. Yes. Nice. And so in terms of, this book being birthed, I was in a coaching program for my business, and she was like, what are you passionate about? Like, what do you really want to do to help propel the business? So, like, if you were to write a book, what would you write about? I said, there was nothing about money in schools. And so if you can educate the kids, the students, right? And the parents, because the book is really for both. Everybody, right? It's I call it a family book.
Nice.
Right? It's written to parents, but it has a way to incorporate the kids.
Also, they incorporate while the parents are reading and understanding, they can teach it.
Yeah, there are activities, and it's written. Even my 5-year-old Gabe can read it and comprehend, because I'm talking about apples to compare to invest in. You want to have different apples in your basket, different portfolio, diversify your portfolio, have different types of stocks.
Nice.
And so, for me, I believe that, and when I give any of my talks or, workshops, I say, if I can touch one person to make a difference in their family so that, we can help to bridge that wealth gap, then I've done my job. That's what I think.
Nice. Also, being a mother of two boys, I know that's not easy because my mom has 3 and she always tells me, like, listen, it's the grace of God taking you through it. Mm-hmm. How does that, both building the business and raising the child, because I've always heard people, successful people, or you hear from their children, it's like, oh, my parents weren't around. They're always focused on the business and go through the business.
Yeah.
How do you manage that balance?
That's a really good question. So my business allows me to be home majority of the time. So I own and operate a virtual, one side of the business, virtual tutoring. So I can tutor upstairs, and the only thing they need to know is don't knock on the door and don't make any noise outside.
Yeah.
But sometimes it really gets, they don't like it. So they come home and they're like, Mommy, you're working from home today? I'm like, yes. And they're like, are you going upstairs? And then you can see the faces start falling, right? Yeah. But what I look at it as, my mom, she was out working most of the time.
So she was never.
I was raising myself most of the time, right? Yeah. So for me, I'm like, you get me home, I'm just upstairs for an hour, if that, or two. Yeah. So after that, I'm right here for you. And so the challenge is, one day, I'm upstairs tutoring. Philip was away, I think, to his sister's baby shower. So I don't remember if Gabe alone or Gabe and DJ. And I come downstairs from a tutoring session, and my house is flooded.
Ooh.
Yeah, my house is flooded because he sees the sink pipe and thinks he's washing, because we washed the car, right? So he thinks he's washing the house.
Ooh.
From the inside. I got so mad. But you can't get mad, right?
Yeah.
Because you're upstairs working, running your business. He was probably 3 at the time.
Oh, so he's like exploring.
He's like,
yeah.
You know?
He's like, I see Daddy do it all the time.
Yeah. So, for me, sometimes I have to check myself to say they're 3 and 5, right? And they want their mommy time. They don't understand working and stuff like that. But then if I have to go somewhere and I have to, let's say go away for a talk or whatever, I'm like, well, this is to help you guys, right? Because in the future, I want them to have a certain lifestyle, right? That I didn't have. Of course, most parents want that for their kids.
Yeah, the best.
Yeah. And so for me, I'm like, if going away for a weekend, or whatever the case may be, prevents that a little bit, it's not bad, right? Because it's not like they don't see me throughout the week, or I think they see me maybe 90%, maybe 90% of the time. And so I try to make sure I'm present, like when I am. So I'll be on the couch and they'll just be cuddled up with me, and whatever the case may be. But I try to make sure that I'm there for most of the stuff that they do.
That's good, because I think our fear for a lot of people is, before starting business, like, oh, I won't be at home, because they have that mental fear, thinking that I won't be available for my children, or I got to put all of this in my job, or put all of this in work, when you're showing them it's possible.
Yeah.
You can still be that parent and still have a successful business. Yeah,
and let me add too, if you have to set your boundaries, right? I'm learning that from Philip. But you have to set your boundaries. And it's a good thing that Phil and I, we work together, so we kind of understand what's going on, right? So we are able to fill in
the gaps.
Yeah. So for me, I shut down at, let's say, I don't do any sessions after 7. And that's just me. So if my clients, they want me, this is my schedule. You can get another tutor from our company, and that, that's your business. Recently one of my clients was like, oh, I'm going to do a sport now. And well, I'm not available, so let me get you connected to one of our other, tutors. So you got to set boundaries in the business. But sometimes too, it depends on the type of business that you're in. You just have to kind of, like I said, set your boundaries, but understand that it's not forever.
Yeah.
Especially if you're building the business and you're starting out, the schedule that you have now is not going to be the same as you're going to have 5 years, 6 years ago. Because I didn't start out as virtual, thanks to COVID.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was driving to the library. I was
sit down in person.
Yeah. So we've come a long way. And I don't know how I would have been doing that with them. I probably wouldn't be doing that with them.
That's God. Like, just happen during that period of time.
God threw me a COVID-19 virus. Don't throw it again now. But just so that I can know that you can go virtual, Shanah, and I never went back. My clients who were in person, they're like, are you coming back? We need you. No way. Not wasting gas, sitting in traffic.
It's more cost effective.
Yeah, because I have no overhead.
Yes.
None.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's good. Also, being a wife. Yeah. I recently had a conversation with my wife about it, but it also, for knowing, it helps having a partner with you, like you just said, who has an understanding.
Yeah.
How does that help with the business? Not just husband and wife, but I know you're now partners in business, like be filling in the gap. How does that really?
So are you saying in
Like,
terms
is
of
it
the
more
kids
yes,
or just
no,
the
business wise? Because as you said, he's there help fill in the gap with the children while you're busy. But I know because he does photography. He also goes out with you, goes to shoots, go to some of your seminars, go to some of your out of town stuff. Is more of a plus.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Look, I'm about to write in my contracts when I do like workshops. You get free pictures and video because whenever I go, he's there with me and I get photos and videos. I didn't realize the blessing of this until I was speaking to somebody. And so she was like, yeah, I got to figure out how to get a photo, like the branding. And she's like, you're lucky. You have a husband who does photos. Yeah. So you have branding photos, you have photos and videos. You don't have to worry about it.
You have everything.
I was like, oh yeah, she's right. And then it's funny, he couldn't make one of my sessions. So I'm like shopping around and the quotes I was getting, I was like, yeah. And so I just randomly was like, how much would you charge me photos, videos, and travel? What would be the cost? And it was a good $2,000. I was like, oh, okay, let me buy you something nice and say thank you.
Be appreciative wife.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yes, I count my blessings. Yep.
That's good. That's good. So also, when you're doing this, what advice would you give onto somebody as a female in the industry of business owner, a professor, mother, a wife, for those who want to start business, as like seeing like, oh, I'm still a wife, I'm still a mother. It's like, I don't think I can. I don't think this suits me, or I'm gonna have to be away from my children too much. What advice can you give people who are thinking of going down into this field?
Oh, that's a good one. So for me, as with anything that I do or any like workshop or tutoring or anything, I say you have to come up with a goal, right? I remember talking to one of my sisters and she was like, entrepreneurship is not for everybody. Right. And it's the truth because you have to have grit. You have to have grit and not let failures hold you back. And so for me, I would say, look at the goal. What is the reason for you to like start a business, or what's your end goal here? Right. Because it's not a question of when you fail. You're going to fail at things. Right. If I tell you like the things that I started out with as a business when I was just graduated with my master's, I didn't even know. I don't have a business plan. Right. And so, when you start, it's not going to be completely figured out. People will be like, oh, I have to make sure this is perfect before I start. Right. You just have to have a goal. What is the goal? For me, my chef, I need a chef. Right. And so I'm going to be hiring a chef. I'm going to have a chauffeur. My kids are going to have good education. They're going to be a little bit more further in life than me. Right. And we're going to retire nicely at 50 on the beach. Right. So these are the things you can see vividly. I have a chauffeur. So like my house is, long driveway. So I have my goals in front of me. Yeah. And so once you have those goals, I tell people, put it visibly where you can see it daily. Yeah. And so you can know if you get this stumble, you don't have to stop. This is my goal and that's what I'm going to achieve. And so because of that, I'm going to keep going. So you have to have a goal, have it visibly in front of you, and you work towards it. Right. And so I tell people, oh, single mom, married mom, whatever, you have all these things on your plate. These are excuses. Yeah. Start. Yeah. Get it done. Have your goal forefront.
Good. Thank you for that. Guys, remember, subscribe so you won't miss an episode. You got some gems from Dr. Grant here today. Dr. Grant, you can let them know where they can get all your 6 books from.
Yeah, sure. All of my services and products are at www.sharpsessions.com. That's sharp with an E. And you can find all of our catalog there.
I would leave that link in the description below. You can go check her stuff out. She's also on YouTube where she gives you tutorials on making money, saving money, investing money, all your finances. I'll also leave that in the description. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you, Dr. Grant, for being here.
Thanks for having me. It was certainly a pleasure.
Y'all have a blessing.